Greetings. This is the artist formerly known as HKE, and welcome back to another episode of Canvas. Let me just fade that music out a little bit more. So the music that supplied today's opening theme for a very special episode of Canvas was a track by Broken Canyon called Soul Garden, which is actually not publicly available as of yet, so I guess keep an eye on Broken Canyon's social media or SoundCloud pages to look out for that whenever it comes out. So today we've got a bit of a different episode than usual, as we have a guest from outside of the music scene that surrounds this specific record label. So there might be two different types of people listening to this presently. One moment. Right. Yeah, we might have some people coming over from the Flat Earth side who might not really know much about Dream Catalogue in any capacity. And we'll also have a lot of people coming over from the Dream Catalogue side who might never have heard any arguments or debates about the flat earth or theories and such. So coming up in about another 10 minutes or so, we're going to have our guest on for today, which is David Weiss, who runs the podcast, the Flat Earth podcast, and also another conspiracy-based podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. So David Weiss is someone I became familiar with earlier this year after he was on a few podcasts that I listened to, such as the Chris Jericho podcast and the Conan podcast. Sorry, I just need to take a bit of water. I just quickly ate something before we came on stream, so I've got a bit of a dry throat at the moment. So he'll be joining us in about 10 minutes or so. So if you want to start getting any questions in that we can go through later, then feel free to drop them in the chat. But of course, obviously, there's going to be people who sort of disagree with the flat Earth concept. But if you do, I hope you stick around and actually hear him out, because I think he might be pleasantly surprised to hear how in depth he can go on the subject, and maybe you'll come around to being a bit more flat curious, as I could say I am in a sense. Also, in regards to questions about music and Dream Catalogue or anything of that nature, I'll cover that kind of stuff on tomorrow's episode, or maybe an episode later tonight, another one. This episode specifically going to be dedicated to a flat Earth discussion. God, I really should have drank more water before I came on tonight. But the original plan was to be on with Shima as well, but he had to bail, unfortunately. So this is going to be myself and David Weiss when he joins us in about another 7 or 8 minutes or so. So I guess I'll run through a few questions until then. So Emmanuel HP asks, I was just listening to Pillar and New Sun by 2814. I was wondering what's the story behind it. Warp Records pretty much just asked us about a year before it came out if we'd make something for the new sub-label that they were putting together. It's a vinyl only sub-label. That was Arcola. So yeah, we just sort of made that for them, and it came out. Oh, it looks like we've got David joining us at the moment. Hold on, let me just check. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Alright, cool. Yeah, it's nice to meet you. Yeah, I actually, I first, like I was saying just now on stream, I'm not sure if you were listening or not. I actually, first heard you on Chris Jericho's podcast earlier this year. Um, and like, I'd never really like looked into the flat Earth. I don't know what you'd call it, a conspiracy or whatever. Very much at all. Um, and that was sort of like my primer on it all, and it was like a lot more in depth and intriguing than I ever thought it would have been. So do you want to sort of like get like introduce yourself and I suppose talk a little bit about how you got into the whole flat Earth debate and such?
Yeah, I'll give you the quick rundown, and then I'd really like to know where you stand.
Yeah,
You
for
said
sure. Yeah,
first you said you heard me on Chris Jericho.
yeah,
That wasn't that long ago.
yeah.
So if somebody held a gun to your head right now and said, "Is the Earth flat or spherical?" What would you do?
I'm not sure. I'd probably try and disarm the gunman first before I make make an answer. But I guess coming into this like conversation, I'll sort of play the role of a globe supporter just to play devil's advocate in a sense. But as I was saying, I suppose I could classify myself as flat curious for the time being.
That's good.
Yeah,
I love questions. So anybody that's listening that is not doesn't believe in the flat Earth, please ask your toughest question and then listen for the answer. Just real short, I did a conspiracy podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole for 3 years, and in 2014, the third year, I started getting flat Earth videos sent to me that I refused to watch, just like every other flat earther, same story.
yeah,
And then finally, another researcher said to me, made a flat Earth comment, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have to look into this." And I tried to debunk it, and that's how you become a flat earther. When you seriously do the research yourself, try to debunk it, and then you can't. So,
yeah.
hence, 3, 4 years later, here I am with the award-winning Flat Earth podcast,
Very nice. Yeah, I
and
actually after I heard your chat with Chris Jericho and then you were on Conan's podcast as well if I remember correctly. Yeah, like I started listening to the Flat Earth podcast and I think I rinsed through about like 10 to 15 episodes roughly earlier this year. And it was really quite like illuminating just like how in depth that you can go with the subject, like all like pretty much down all these different avenues that I'd never like really considered before.
I have to tell you that the amount of research that I've done into flat Earth over the last 4 years probably equals more studying than I've done on everything in my entire school career
Yeah,
of my life, because it's interesting, it's amazing, and it's not nonsense like they teach us in school.
yeah, yeah. So I suppose like what like if you were gonna sort of like try and convince someone, like if someone had a gun to your head for example and said like tell me the truth, what are like the biggest giveaways of like what why is the earth flat, like if you had to like tell someone in like I suppose two or three simple reasons, like what would it be for you?
To start, the problem that we face is that believing is easy. I can tell you I'm a doctor, and you can go, "Huh, all right,"
Yeah,
and you're done. Your whole day's free. You can do whatever you want. You can take a nap. You can, you don't have to think anymore because you've accepted that as truth. And that's what's happened to us with the ball. They've taught us, they indoctrinated us with the ball since we were in preschool.
yeah, yeah,
Globes everywhere, Sesame Street, astronauts on Sesame Street, the wonderful world of Disney, which is just part of the deception. And we have these beliefs brought to us before we were able to think properly, to even ask questions. And if you do ask a question, if you're a bold enough kid to ask a question, you get ridiculed. And you basically, just retreat. That's what happens to the vast majority of the people. Um, so again, understanding that the earth is flat isn't a 5 minute conversation. It isn't one proof. It isn't,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
it takes critical thought. And it's a journey. So if someone says, "Give me one proof that we don't live on a ball and the Earth is flat," is we can see too far. That's the simplest one. Any size sphere has spherical geometry, mathematics that will tell you what that curve is. And we live on a ball, supposedly, that's 24,901 miles around. And there's a formula that's agreed upon for that curvature, which is as you move farther away, the drop gets steeper and steeper as you're going over the edge of the ball.
Yeah.
And so at a certain distance, you should have a hump of Earth in between you. But with modern optics, we can zoom in on things that should be thousands of feet below the curve, and we can see them. So they're not mirages. Mirages are a real thing, but these are not mirages. And we've proven that they're not mirages in different ways.
Is there like anywhere in particular that people can go to sort of see these kind of studies that you're referring to?
There's YouTube is making it more and more difficult to find quality content on the flat Earth. They're putting up all the propaganda. They're part of the machine to keep us enslaved as mindless, trolls, mindless drones on a spinning ball in an endless universe.
Yeah.
So great channel. One of the best quality flat Earth research channels is Jeranism with a J, Jeranism. He's got tons and tons of videos there. If you spend a day or two there, you'll be a flat earther. You can go to my website, which is theflatearthpodcast.com, click must see videos, and there's a ton of videos there. And because they're hosted on our website, YouTube won't interject going, "Hey, watch this Neil deGrasse Tyson video. Watch this Discovery Channel video," because they try to distract you. After you watch a good video, they'll suggest a complete propaganda video to throw you off the trail.
Yeah, I've noticed that's sort of a trend, not just like in this subject, but pretty much any subject that I suppose YouTube doesn't want you to venture too far down the rabbit hole, to borrow a phrase from you. Um, yeah, so that's sort of something I wanted to get into with you, but maybe in a little bit, sort of like, because as you were just saying, as you were saying just now, like there's this idea of like this, like the secretive nature behind the Earth being flat, supposedly. Like I sort of wanted to talk about like why do you think that is? If so, like what are the reasons for sort of keeping it secret from people?
So that's always a big question. When somebody gets introduced to flat Earth, they go down a typical path, which is they throw out their indoctrinated questions. Where's the edge? How come you don't fall off the edge? How come I can't see Mount Everest? It would be light all day. There would be no seasons. All of these completely indoctrinated program responses, which there is a very excellent, easy to understand explanation for all of those. But then finally, when you keep answering their questions with answers that completely debunk their previous belief, unsupported belief, they go, "Well, what does it matter anyway? Well, why would they hide? Why would there be this collusion to hide the flat Earth?" And the answer is because they don't want us to know who we are, where we are, or what we are. And we are powerful spiritual beings that this world was created for. We're not just these meat suits having this experience. We are far bigger, and the power of our minds is way beyond anything that even some of the people that call themselves enlightened believe. And if everybody woke up to the flat Earth tomorrow, they would realize that the world is intelligently designed. And if it's intelligently designed, that means there's a creator. And that's as far as I'll take it, because there are a lot of religious people in flat Earth, and they have their beliefs, but it doesn't matter. The world is intelligently designed. Our true potential is being hidden from us, and we are being indoctrinated in the school system to become worker slaves for this ridiculous system. Money is fake, and everything they just have us believing, just living where we go to work, come home, have a drink, watch television, go to a sports game. It's bread and circuses. They don't have us nearly tapping into our potential at all.
Yeah, like that. I think it's there's like some correlation between I don't know if this is something you also subscribe to, but oh, sorry, just before I continue with that, there's like someone in the chat just said I love this because HK, that's me, is trying so hard to sound genuine and not sarcastic, and that's not true. I'm actually this is actually something I'm like interested in, and like if the people listen to this want to like actually stick around, you'll hear that like this kind of subject can get like really in depth if you just give it a chance. Like if you treat it as a joke and just like
Yeah.
if you like leave without actually listening, then like you're the one who's sort of
Yeah.
rejecting like the
Let me
possibility of opening your mind.
I'm kind of watching the chat a little bit. Let me comment. A couple people made comments. Prismo said the world wasn't created for us exclusively; it was created for life. I'll agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
And that's a whole another topic. And then somebody else asked, "Can I talk about more about um, us being spiritual beings?" Well, that's also a very big topic. But
Yeah, that's
they
something I wanted to ask you about actually. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I had some questions about that I was going to ask you in a little bit.
sure. Well, go ahead. You want to ask a question or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want to get into that now, yeah, like it seems like the perfect segue to do so. Um, so yeah, like I've often heard you talking about like this idea that we're all like sort of spiritual beings and our bodies are like these vessels for these beings. Um, and I suppose like when people think about the universe in like well let's say the globe sense, like they think about looking outwards towards the stars and such, and like the infinite growing universe and all this stuff, and obviously that as a concept probably isn't in line with like flat earth theory. So like if it is true that like what you say about how like our bodies are these vessels for like spiritual beings and such, where does this come from in a sense? Like what do you think about like like do you believe like there's like some kind of like multi-dimensional aspect to the universe where like these kind of things like affect us beyond our like senses basically?
Yeah, such a big question, and I don't really have all of the answers.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what the rulers of this world, whoever they are, know is that um, your words have power. Your emotions are not just internal emotions; they create the world around you. Your thoughts become things. You can just look around anywhere, look at anything. It was a thought before became a thing. A car or a baseball bat. Somebody thought about it before they made it. These your thoughts create your reality. So if you look at people that are just down on their luck, don't have any money, well, that's their vibration, for lack of a better word. They're always thinking, they're always saying, "Oh, I'm so broke. I don't have any money." You say
yeah,
that, well, it's going to absolutely become your reality.
yeah,
And I'm not
definitely.
saying that you can just say, "Oh, I'm a millionaire. I have $1 million," because if you don't really feel that way, you're basically saying, "I don't have $1 million," and that's the true emotion. That's the true energy that you're sticking out into the world. So, what they don't want us to know is our words have power, our thoughts have power, and the most important thing is they have zero power over us. The only things they can do to break our free will are the things that we agree to. That's why they tell us what they're doing. And if we don't say no, we're saying yes.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's something I'd agree with, regardless of whether the Earth is flat or not, really. But
True.
yeah,
But wait, here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether the earth is flat or round, but people will find out the truth of how important we are if they find out the earth is flat. Before I knew the earth was flat, I believed in evolution, space travel, all of
yeah,
the stuff that the Big Bang happened, with nothing exploded and created monkeys, and then monkeys farted, and here we are. That's basically the story. And I believed all of that. I didn't believe that there was any sort of creator, that we were all just random specks, godless specks. But then when I realized that the earth was flat and it was created, everything changed. Everything in my life changed.
Yeah, like that's an interesting way to look at it. So do you think after you sort of like started considering that the earth was flat, that it gave you like some sense of purpose in life that maybe you didn't have before?
My life was actually going pretty darn good, in comparison to, people around. I was very happy in my life. Things were good. A lot of people, psychologists, will say, well, flat earthers, they're looking to feel special, to know something that other people don't know, and that is absolutely not the truth. It may be true for some people but flat earth is the truth. And when you realize it, it's not about being special, it's not about um, anything like that. It's about knowing who you are, where you are, and what you are. And once you wake up to that fact,
Yeah,
your life changes, just in every way. It's you become a better person. Not that I was a bad person, but
yeah.
you realize that your actions, your thoughts have meaning and consequences.
Um, yeah. Sorry, I just sort of lost my train of thought then. Sorry, give me a moment to get back to. Yeah, I mean it's like quite interesting because like another thing I've heard you talking about in regards to this stuff, and maybe this sort of plays into it as well, as like you sort of dispute the notion of there being like aliens and stuff that travel billions of light years and such to come and see us on this
Let
planet.
me
But
ask you a question. What makes more sense? That an alien traveled billions of miles, light years, gets here in their amazing spaceship, and then crashes in the desert? Or perhaps they came from the outer spaces across the flat plane in worlds that we don't have access to, that are right here on the flat Earth, and they're just traveling a few thousand miles in their physical craft.
yeah, like that's something I've heard you say before, and like you reference them as like extraterrestrials, as in like from the other terrain, I suppose, like to like go in the like literal sense of the word terra in extraterrestrials.
Yeah,
Um,
terra means land, extraterrestrial, extra territory, extra land.
yeah,
That is where I believe that people come from.
yeah.
And,
Um,
there's I'm watching the chat go by a little bit. There's people that are saying certain things are impossible. Instead of saying something's impossible, ask it as a question. Ask it as a question, and I'll respond to it if I can.
Yeah, that's sort of what I've appreciated about you on like all the different podcasts that you've been on, is that like you seem to like pretty much like have an answer for almost every question that someone can throw at you. And
Hey,
like
do me a favor, because this causes there are trolls out there, and um, really people that add nothing to the conversation and just show up here to divert the conversation. Can you look in the chat, scroll up a little bit, and
yeah.
make Karen B a moderator? She's an
Uh
award-winning moderator.
yeah, sure, yeah. I'll look out for her now. Just give me one moment.
Yeah. Um, but please, if you think that you have a proof that makes the flat earth impossible, ask it as a question. Okay. And I'll do my best to answer it. And by the way, we don't have answers to everything, because we don't know all the answers. But one thing that, you'll hear people say, well, flat earthers can't even agree upon the model. Well, there's different theories. Is it an endless plane? Are we in a dome? What is the exact map? Well, guess what? We don't have an exact map. Um, and neither does the globe. Google Earth and Google Maps use two different maps because
Yeah,
none of them
yeah.
work.
In fact,
Um,
speaking of sorry to interrupt you, Dan, but have you ever looked into like I think it's sort of like a recent discovery on Google Maps in the northwest of Africa. I think it's just like sort of south of Tunisia or something in the desert. They found pretty much like where they thought like Atlantis could have been if like it had existed, thousands of years ago. Is that something that you've ever looked into at all?
Well, Atlantis could be literally here. It could be right where we are now, and it was buried in the mud floods, or it could be in the outer ring. There's one theory that beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is another world with another sun. One of the researchers that's looking into it. And by the way, there's a lot of different theories out there with a lot of different evidence. We don't know what's beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, but one of the other researchers is under the belief that Mars and Venus are a sun and moon in the outer space. So when NASA says they're going to Mars, going into outer space, they're traveling across the plane to the outer lands with the Mars Venus sun moon system. And then there's another ring outside of that with the Saturn Jupiter sun moon system. Saturn is a sun, Jupiter is a moon. All of these things have lots of interesting evidences to them, but we haven't been there. We don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, like this, like so many ways that you can think about it, I suppose, and I think that's personally what I find most interesting about like the whole flat Earth subject in general. It's just like if you actually open your mind enough to consider it and like consider the fact that it can actually like really shatter your entire perception of reality in a sense, because it's like sort of one of the most concrete things that you just take like as fact without really thinking about it. Like if you can actually shatter that in your mind to consider the fact that there could be, like land beyond what we are aware of at this point, like it can
Think about this. Antarctica in 1957, all of the countries of the world, all of the UN countries, basically all the countries of the world, signed a treaty that nobody, no corporation, no person, nobody can explore Antarctica like, other than little sightseeing trips to the edge, to a little ceremonial pole. Nobody can go on their own, and there's they make it nearly impossible. And even if they did let you, Antarctica is a cold, dark place as the farther out you get, and you just might not be able to go that far. There's no McDonald's or fueling station or, Starbucks or anything along the way. So, it's physically difficult to explore, and they don't want anybody going down there, and you can't even question it until the year 2040, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I think when I first started reading about all this stuff and like listening to your podcasts and like pretty much like looking at like all the other stuff as well, like it was definitely the like the mysteries of Antarctica that sort of like really made me think, like second guess whether I was second guess whether I was right or not that the Earth was not flat. But yeah, like
There's a video called Sorry, Antarctica is Closed by Taboo Conspiracy. If somebody, who thinks that, hey, you can just go to Antarctica, they can't guard the whole coastline, you're wrong. It's a 30-minute video that'll show you how it is basically impossible to go explore Antarctica with the way they have things set up and the physical conditions of doing such a trip. So again, a 30-minute video. It's more than 140 characters, like Twitter, because people have what I call a Twitter mind. Anything longer than 140 characters, they tune out. But if you want to know the truth about why you can't go to Antarctica, you have to watch that 30-minute video.
yeah, that's something I've actually been thinking about a lot recently as well. Like I was someone who used Twitter like extensively for like about I'd say about 2 years or so, and I found like when I was like really using it in depth, I wasn't like properly thinking straight. Like I was like just as you just said, then like thinking in 140 characters or less, and I think like that's sort of almost like a weapon against people to like make them dumb and like not be able to think critically and such. I mean, like
Prismo in your chat basically wrote the treaty does not prohibit going there. There are many organizations that take tours there. Actually, there's only one organization under many names that does tours there. It costs maybe $15,000 to $25,000 to go there for a few days, so that limits most people from being able to go there. And then when you go there, you're right along the shoreline. They take you on a little guided tour where you cannot step off the path. They show you a ceremonial pole and they go, look, you're at the South Pole. No one ever breaks out a compass or anything, or really looks at it. And then you leave. And that is not exploring Antarctica. Even if they took you 100 miles in, which they do not, that's not exploring Antarctica, because those are the outer lands to the flat Earth.
Have you ever like sort of thought deeply about what if there are these outer lands, like what does lay beyond, basically? You know, have you ever thought in depth about that kind of thing as well?
What's beyond, what's in those outer lands?
Yeah, yeah.
So I did a talk, which anyone listening that's interested, write these names down so you can actually take the time and learn. But I did there's a video on my channel, my channel is DITRH, which is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. If you just search the outward flow of civilization on my channel, DITRH, I did a talk with Sophia Smallstorm, and we talk about how the sun moves the ice outwards, and perhaps the Atlantis and the other civilizations back then, when there's a shift in where the ice is, everybody is pushed outwards and they migrate outwards, which is south. So what if coming next year, North America and Europe stayed frozen in July, and it never defrosted, but the tropics were still beautiful. What's everyone going to do? Everyone's going to migrate outwards. Okay. And then that ice barrier between north of them to the center is going to get bigger and bigger, and it's essentially going to become unpassable. And then over time, perhaps another sun is born in the north. There's lots of similarities between that and biblical text, where that sun will come and be the savior to the people that stayed in the Iceland, and it will start rotating and oscillating inwards and outwards and pushing that next ice ring out. So perhaps Atlantis is still thriving lands just outside of Antarctica. Again, we haven't been there. We don't know, but there's evidence of this. There's evidence that Antarctica wasn't always a frozen land. There's stuff under the ice. So
What has been speculated that's actually under the ice, though, is because I think haven't these sort of like discovered like pyramid type shapes or something like that.
there's all sorts of stuff. We don't know what's true. I'm sure some of it's true, and some of it is just to throw you off the trail. You got to remember, the elite have control over Antarctica, who goes there, what information is coming out of there. So again, we don't know. We're not there. It's just like space.
So
You haven't been there, so you don't know.
So what when you talk about the elite, like what would you classify that as? Like who would you classify that as? Because
The
are you
Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and that's the lower level of elite. The Bushes,
yeah
those are the lower level. There are the people that pull their strings, may not even live in the lands that we're aware of. There could be hidden lands within our oceans. The southern oceans are uncharted.
yeah
Um, the MH17 flight that disappeared, it might have, maybe they were making a run for it to go to the outer lands.
yeah
There's sections of ocean out there that are not on GPS, because if they were, you'd realize how expansive southern oceans are. If you look at a flight from Santiago, Chile to Australia, they're basically at the same southern latitude. They could just skirt across the bottom of the globe, straight line right there. But instead, they fly up to America, across over to Dubai, and back down again, which makes absolutely no sense on a globe. But on a flat Earth, it's a straight line.
yeah.
If
That's
you go to
true,
the
but
Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page, the top post on that page is those two flight trails that I did. I just posted it this morning. Um, Take a look at that and think. Don't just look at it in short circuit. Look and think. The Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page, there's tons of videos on that page too. Turn off the TV, get away from the nonsense, and watch the videos on there for a week, and you too will become a flat earther.
yeah, and I know that argument about like how the planes don't fly over the South Pole and such, But like in that same sense, there are like other planes that like if the Earth was flat, they go in like really I suppose long directions that wouldn't make logistical sense. Do you know what I mean?
Are you
I'm
saying
trying to
that in
think of like
support of the flat Earth?
no, like if like this would be like a contention against the flat Earth, like the like I'm trying to think of like a specific example, but
Are you talking about going from like Santiago, Chile to New Zealand and the amount of
yeah,
time
yeah,
it takes
stuff
to
like
get
that.
there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So here's the unknowns on that. One, there's only one plane, type of plane that does that. It's owned by Qantas. It has some, I forget all the specs on it, but I think it has like 7 coats of this special paint on it, which to me says this plane goes a lot faster than they're telling us. The sound barrier is a psyop. There is no sound barrier. There is a sonic boom when you hit the speed of sound. That's just because sound is piling up in the same space. But once you go faster than that, there is no sound barrier. So these planes, one, can be going much faster than 500 miles an hour, but they don't even need to go that much faster because the if you look at the wind patterns on the AE map, which is considered the flat Earth map, it's not, again, we're not saying that's the accurate map. If you look at the wind patterns, they go in perfect circles. And there's a wind at about 45, a trade wind at about 40,000 feet. That's 250 miles an hour, to, sometimes 300 miles an hour. All the plane has to do is get up in that tailwind, maybe fly 600 miles an hour land speed, by its engines. Add another 250 on that, and that perfectly explains the trip from Santiago, Chile to New Zealand in the right amount of time. And the other thing that supports that this is happening is these flights, these direct flights, which aren't very often, are often canceled. They often come in 5 hours late
yeah,
sometimes. There's huge variations in their actual flight times. And that is because the winds aren't always, they don't always get it right. So, if it was flying, like when you're flying in the inner northern hemiplane, distances are very easy. There's straight lines in between places. You want to go from California to Japan, you just cut right over the middle and boom, you're there. You don't have to go east or west.
yeah,
Um, and one of the big things I always point out, and Globers and a lot of flat earthers don't even understand it, is east and west on a flat earth or a globe earth are circles. They're circles around a center point.
yeah, yeah,
So on a globe, if you were 1 mile from the North Pole and you wanted to go west, you have to remain 1 mile from the North Pole. That is a tight circle. 3.14 miles later, you're back to where you started from. And you're going west the entire time or east because they're circles. The only time you don't have to correct to the north is when you're exactly on the equator on a ball Earth, in theory, but no one's ever done it. There's ships that were in the southern oceans that are trying to dead reckon at 90 or 270, which is east or west, and they constantly have to correct to the north, and they're just blaming it on winds, water currents, propeller drag or whatever it is. But it's just such a slight correction that you don't notice it. But if you locked your not your compass, but you locked your steering wheel straight, heading west, and didn't adjust it, in no time at all, you're going to be heading south because a straight line anywhere on Earth is south.
yeah, yeah. I've heard that argument before as well, and I've seen like visual examples of it, like uh, in YouTube videos and such that give like a diagram of what you've just described. And was that channel that you mentioned earlier like something that would show that? I think.
Jeranism.
Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that Jaren, he's relentless. His videos are longer, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes short ones, but he's got in-depth videos that will show that. You can also go to his website if you want to get away from the YouTube, distractions, Jeranism.com, and I think you can even type in the subject matter that you want, and it'll lead you to the correct video.
yeah, yeah. So, someone in the chat mentioned that this is something that I've read about before as well. They said Admiral Byrd, who was a member of the U.S. Army, I think, around the time of World War II, said that he found a land or a continent beyond Antarctica. Is that something that you know much about?
So Admiral Byrd, he was part of the elite. Did he find land out there and blab about it where he wasn't supposed to? Did he find land out there and was told to leak it, to let the information out there? Because one of the things that I've come to understand is they must tell us the truth in one way or another, even if it's very they just give us little clues, because that frees them from breaking our free will. They have to tell us. It's like 9/11. They told us in 9/11 in movies, in commercials, in books, in music. They told us what was going to happen on 9/11 for years heading into it, and that's how it happened. So was he allowed to do that? I believe that there is land beyond the shore of Antarctica, and whether Admiral Byrd is part of the PSYOP, telling the truth, not telling the truth, I couldn't answer that.
Yeah. So, like, I suppose like you did run that other podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, which is sort of like I guess your main podcast, but then you sort of moved on to doing the Flat Earth podcast after that. If is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole was myself and another truth seeker. And then we had a comedian who doesn't believe anything. He still believes the official story of 9/11 to this day. And he basically tries to insert much humor and whatnot into it. It was an interesting podcast. It served its purpose. It got a lot of people that were looking for comedy and not for a hard truth to start seeing truths. So it ran its course and it ended. And so now I have the Flat Earth podcast, which I enjoy a lot. Trying to get more episodes out, but we all have busy lives at times.
Yeah. So like, I wanted to like sort of follow up that by asking like, since you sort of started with like general conspiracy theory things, and then pretty much moved on to focusing purely on the flat Earth, like, do you think like flat Earth's pretty much like the most important, like, or most pressing issue of like today's age in that sense?
Ask the question again, please.
Sorry, so do you think that like the flat Earth is like the most pressing issue in today's day and age?
Well, people say there's so many more important things, chemtrails, these, hoaxes that they're pulling on society, wars that are happening, the oppression of people throughout the country, throughout the world. These things are all important, but these things are all constructs. Their countries don't fight each other. It's all a war machine to keep us fighting with each other, to keep depopulating the common people, to keep us in a me attitude, to divide and conquer is what's going on. If everyone woke up to the flat Earth tomorrow, all governments would lose all of their power. The wars would stop immediately. There would be a lot of hangings, but that it wouldn't be this crazy diversive world that we live in right now. So yes, I think flat Earth is the most important topic out there to wake the world up to, because it is the key to bringing everything else to an end.
Yeah, that's like, so. How do you think? Say if like a lot of people started waking up to the idea of the flat Earth, as you say, like what would come after that? Do you think?
Well, once people wake up to the flat Earth, it's the end of a lot of things. It's the end of most universities will have to shut down. Religions will have to shut down. The reliance on government, people will realize that doesn't happen. It could be a very turmoil time, but but it all depends on your view of the world and how you see things, on how you'll fare through it. Some people will think it's the worst thing that's ever happened, and other people will see it as the Great Awakening and and the movement into a golden age.
Um, yeah, that's like an interesting way to look at it in a sense, like sort of like a new Enlightenment era in a way, but Uh, sorry, I'm just sort of trying to clarify my thoughts on that 'cause it's a bit.
Again, while you're thinking, I'll just talk. For those of you that are new to this and you have objections, pose that objection as a question and then go look for the answer. And the answers are out there. 4 years ago when I got into this, there wasn't a lot out there. And it was really difficult to speak publicly about this topic. But now the ice has been broken. You can go up to anybody and say, hey, have you heard about the flat earth? And most of them have.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so there's some quality videos out there. Again, the Flat Earth Podcast Facebook page. If you spend a day on there, just scroll way down in those videos. Find a title that. Oh yeah, I have a question about that. How does that work? How does sunsets work? Whatever it is, watch the videos, and you will learn something new if your mind will allow it. The problem is people think they're taught to believe if the Earth is flat, it's a disk flying through space. Why are all the other planets round? Well, that's a pre-programmed, nonsensical belief. No flat earther believes that.
yeah. Um, so what do you think about like people sort of like celebrities who like advocate flat Earth? Like I think off the top of my head, maybe the most notable example would be like Eddie Bravo, the like he's a sort of a regular on the Joe Rogan show. Like is he someone that sort of gets it? Do you think or?
Eddie gets it. The question is, how big will Eddie get before he does what Joe Rogan did? Joe Rogan was one of the leaders in the moon landing deniers.
Yeah,
He many times said there is absolutely no way ever that you will get me to believe that the moon landing was real. But then all of a sudden he got a bunch of network shows, making $100,000 per episode of his podcast. And he is the biggest paid shill out there right now, next to a few others. So he sold his soul to lie to the world for fame and fortune, and that's his path. And I wouldn't. There's no amount of money you can pay me to do what he has done.
yeah,
So getting back to Eddie, to Eddie Bravo. Eddie so far hasn't done any of that. He's done great interviews. He's really exposing the flat Earth. There's a lot of, I wouldn't even call him a celebrity. I didn't know who he was until he was speaking about flat Earth. But there are big celebrities out there that can't come out yet, that have spoken to us, that know the Earth is flat and want us to keep doing what we're doing. They know, at the Oscars party last year, that was the big talk, flat Earth. Some of the biggest stars are talking flat Earth behind the scenes, and they're not ready to come out because they don't want to lose their cushy lifestyles. If you look, the Stephen Curry, the big basketball player, said in a podcast that he thought that we never went to the moon, and you can tell he was 100% serious. A few days later, he comes out and goes, "Oh, I was only joking," because his agent went to him and said, "You want these multi-million-dollar endorsements? You better retract that statement," which is horrible. I mean, it's horrible that we live in a world that they can control people with money like this. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's difficult, but people are waking up to flat Earth every single day. Every single day, there's more and more people. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, "I used to troll flat Earth, and then I finally looked. Somebody showed me. Then I finally put my ego down, and I saw it. And they're apologizing, and they're coming to the conference. And there's people that are waking up to flat Earth every single day. It's growing exponentially. It's the fastest growing topic on the internet, I believe. And the target market is every single person on Earth. So
yeah. So why
without
do you,
exception.
like you were just mentioning then like a lot of people are sort of like really negative about it in a sense, and like why do you think that is? Like what is it about this specific subject that makes people like instantly want to say
Because
like
I'll tell you
you're
why.
like an idiot
How
or
were you,
whatever?
how did you believe in Santa Claus as a child?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you remember how it was broken to you that Santa Claus wasn't real. How did you react?
um I don't
Not
know.
well, probably,
I don't
right?
think I was very concerned personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this is indoctrinated to us at the same time. I always say nobody likes having their ball taken away, but the real
Yeah.
psychological reason is if two people are in the dark outside in a dark alley, and one of them knows exactly where they are, knows there's no danger, they're fine. But the other person next to them thinks that there's mountain lions, gorillas, and rapists that are lurking at them. They're going to have a completely different experience than you have, and that's because of their belief system. So
Yeah.
we all, as adults, as we grow up, we create a world of beliefs around us to keep us safe. We believe, tons of things to create this world around us. And one of them is that teachers are telling us the truth. Government is here to protect us. We live on this spinning ball. There's the Van Allen radiation belts that stop the sun from killing us and keep asteroids away. And just you have all of these beliefs. And when somebody comes in and tries to yank the rug out from under you and says everything you were ever told that you ever believed is a lie, you will have a guttural reaction because people don't like change.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
like having their world beliefs. So that is the number one reason why people react like this, because their egos can't handle the fact that their entire life is a lie.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, even like whether or not it's true, like just sort of processing the idea that everything that they believe is a lie, as you say, is something that I suppose people, like a lot of people, just have this sort of like emotional instinct to like object to whatever it is you're saying. Like, even if it's not flat Earth, if it's like any other example, such as I suppose like the Santa Claus one that you gave, or I don't know, you could like
Well,
talk
but
about.
just taking the Santa Claus out of it, people, especially mothers, they like to build a world of safety around their family.
Yeah.
And we all have these beliefs. Like if you thought, if your beliefs weren't, you didn't believe that you were safe outside, you would have a hard time going outside. But you believe that you're safe. You believe that people of authority are telling you the truth. And when you find out it's all a scam, all of it, that you are being abused in the worst way ever. It's kind of like is it Stockholm syndrome, where
Yeah.
you defend your kidnappers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
So what would you do? Just say if like, by some chance, like like definitive proof came out that the Earth was actually like a globe shape. Like how would you react to that?
I'd be thrilled that I don't have to do this anymore. And I'm open to the concept, but that's a straw man argument. What if
Yeah.
I said, what if I took you up in a rocket ship to show you that the Earth is flat?
Yeah. I mean, like, so what do you think about like obviously you can like tune into the ISS stream at any point. Like, what's your opinion on that? And like,
So the
so
ISS has been up there for like 18 years or whatever it is, and never once have they shown us a 24-hour filming of Earth. They show us 20 minutes. It's usually the same clip. Then they are switching cameras, and it goes dark, or they're on the dark side of the planet, and they can't transmit. Well, that means I can't make a phone call to China when it's nighttime. None of that. It's utter nonsense. There's no space station up there. There's no people in space. They've been caught 6 ways to Sunday, hanging from wires. The nonsense that they show us. The funny thing is, the people that believe it don't even watch the nonsense. They just believe it, because if you actually
yeah.
take some time and watch just Google bubbles in space, ISS hoax, international space station, the international fake station, just any of those. YouTube's doing a good job decimating it, but just go there. Go to my channel, DITRH. Go to the playlist and look up the NASA hoax list, or go to Jaronism's channel, and he does a ton on NASA. I mean, you have to look at what they're showing us now. with these SpaceX ship rockets that are going up, and then the two boosters, these tall multi-ton boosters, are landing upright on a raft in the middle of the ocean that's rocking back and forth. It's utter nonsense. This little flame shoots out of this thing, and it's making it land upright on a rocking raft. Utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And anyone that believes that is just brain dead.
Yeah, like one of the things that I found really shocking when I started looking into all this stuff was how like there's never been any like sort of legitimate photographs of the Earth taken from space. Like they're all sort of
Yeah.
what they call like
They're fake. So Joe23 says, explain the Earthrise photo. Or was the moon landing a hoax? Well, yeah, the moon landing was a hoax because the moon isn't even a place to go. It's a light in the sky. It's within our atmosphere, and it's nothing like you've been told. But the Earthrise photo, Rob Skiba, another researcher, took the photo off of NASA's website, put it into Photoshop, cranked up the levels, and lo and behold, a box around it showing that it was cut and pasted into that photo. Proven fake. Shortly after that, NASA replaced the photo with a better cropped, silhouetted Earth, but they were still busted. All of these photos, not all photos are fake. There's lots of real photos. It's just photos of Earth from space are fake. Just Google photos of Earth from space. There's a montage that'll come up of 8 photos of Earth. Each one of them are completely different. America twice the size in one than the next one. The colors are different. The positions of the continents are different. All of this stuff, some of them have Photoshopped clouds, stepped and repeated clouds, where it's the same clouds in multiple positions. Okay, and if you look at it and you say, which one is real or which one is fake, and the answer is all 8 of them are from NASA. Okay, they're all fake. So a lot of people will argue. Flat earthers say that the photos are fake, but then they show you a photo or show you a video. We're not saying all photos are fake. Just the photos of Earth are provenly fake without a question.
Yeah, I mean, like whether you believe in like the globe Earth or flat Earth, either way, like all the like photos, well, not photos, but like what are said are photos of Earth are actually just like compositions for the most part, either like done the way you said or just like sort of put together by artists using fragments of satellites or whatever, but yeah, I mean, like, do you think there's like any other points that would like really convince someone who's just sort of hearing this for the first time that we haven't touched on at all? Because I feel like we've gone over like I suppose all the main points of contention, aside from like the nitty gritty of the science and stuff. But that's not really something that I can get into personally because like I haven't got that sort of knowledge to hand.
I want to address Bliss Monkey, who's just really trying to cause an issue in the chat. I jokingly said that it was an award-winning podcast and that Karen B was an award-winning moderator. At the end of the Flat Earth the Flat Earth convention, we had a fun-loving award ceremony, and my podcast got best Flat Earth radio show, and Karen got best moderator, which was a joke, but in reality, she does a fantastic job just keeping the nonsense down so people can ask real questions. So Bliss Monkey, I'm 3 seconds away from banning you, but out of respect to the host, I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, like even if there's people trolling and stuff, like I don't like to ban or I suppose deplatform anyone because it's sort of going by the playbook of those that I suppose we wish.
I got it, but when people aren't adding anything productive, ask a question. Don't say it's impossible because, well, it's impossible in your mind because you're unwilling to look at an answer. Ask a question and be open to the answer because we have many of those answers.
Yeah, that's something that I'd agree with. Like, if you want to sort of participate in like the podcast, it would be better, to pretty much just be polite and like treat the guests with respect and such. But yeah, like if everyone could just do that, it'd be like better for everyone all around. And I suppose that sort of reflects back to what I sort of asked earlier about how like people react emotionally rather than like logically or critically when these kind of subjects come up. And like we sort of touched on that a little bit, but do you think there's something to like the idea of like reducing like emotional attachment to these ideas and trying to approach them with a bit more logic and like critical thought and such?
Ask the question again, please.
So yeah, I'm just saying like people tend to have like a lot of emotional attachment to these ideas, like either side of the fence, and that's so, this is something that's sort of like reflected in society as a whole at the moment. Like people really love to take sides on things and I suppose go to war with each other, whereas like if you take more of like an unemotional approach to these issues and just sort of talk them out with people, you can like come to like civil agreements or disagreements.
It is a very emotional topic for people. I don't let it get the better of me.
Yeah,
It is what it is, and I just want the truth. I don't care what shape the earth is. I just don't want to be lied to, and I want to
yeah,
understand
yeah,
what the heck is going on in this world. And that's what I do.
yeah. So I suppose you said earlier like you'd love it if you didn't have to talk about this all the time. So what other kind of things are you interested in beyond talking about the flat Earth and such?
What other things do I like to do in life other than
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about flat Earth?
yeah,
Well, flat Earth is really important to me, but I'm a snowboarder. I'm a kite surfer.
yeah,
I have my own business. I like to have fun,
yeah. So
and
if
that's
you're a
it.
kite surfer, do you know someone by the name of Jeffrey Davis by any chance? He's a
I do not.
prominent kite surfer. Oh, okay, no worries. He's just a prominent kite surfer in the kite surfing community that
Yeah,
I'm friends
there's a
with.
lot.
Yeah, I suppose so. Um, yeah, like I'm sort of out of further questions to ask about this because I think I've sort of hit on everything that I wanted to ask you about. But is there like anything else that you wish to cover that perhaps I didn't bring up?
There's the thing is, people say there's so much proof for the ball Earth, and their proofs are there's photos, science. Every scientist in the past, we've known for 500 years. All of those are not proofs. Our history is a lie. People knew in the early 1900s that the Earth was flat. I don't believe in the 1800s that anyone even considered it being a globe. Our history books are a lie. Um, it's it's observably and obviously flat and stationary for anybody with a mind that can think and eyes that can see. You just have to understand the limits of our eyes and a few other things, and it's very simple to see once you really take a look. So for those of you here, if you say, I can't believe that this is real, that the earth is flat, don't bother researching because you already said it. You can't believe, right? But if you're willing to take the time and the effort, go to the Facebook page, go to our website, the Flat Earth Podcast, and take the time to watch the videos there. People always throw out, where do you YouTube isn't research. Well, that's absolutely false. YouTube is a platform that hosts information. Everything is on YouTube. There's nothing that's not on YouTube. Real, fake, nonsense. Uh, it's all there. So it's a source for people that have done some work for you, that they've organized it in a way that you can understand it so you can take it to the next level. So it's all there for anyone to see. But the problem is we're living in the world of the Twitter mentality where people don't have the ability to stop, look, and think.
Yeah, yeah. So like if people have been listening to this and they're sort of interested to get involved beyond just reading about it, like you sort of talked about the idea that you have these sort of like conventions or conferences was it for like flat earth, like
The
what
Flat
sort of
Earth International Conference, which was just held in November in
yeah, so what
Denver.
sort of goes on at those conferences? Like, because I'd imagine like a lot of the people who go there are sort of well versed in these subjects. So what sort of gets talked
There's
about?
all different types of presentations. It's all online. If you go on YouTube. I believe it's called the Flat Earth Conference YouTube channel. If you look it up, and there's presentations from scientific presentations to religious
Yeah.
presentations, to, you know, I did a presentation on how to talk to family and friends about flat Earth and not lose family and friends. There's all sorts of stuff there, and it's, you know, it's really, you don't have to go to the conference to get that information. It's all online, but it's a way for people in the flat Earth community to meet people face to face, to see who's real, to see who's not real,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and network and make this thing bigger, because this is the key to our freedom.
I know that you said before on some other podcasts that I've heard that you considered the Flat Earth Society to be sort of like a decoy or a hoax or something. Do you want to like
It's not
corroborate
sort
on
of a hoax. It is a complete and total controlled opposition, government run website. It's when you search flat Earth, that's the top thing that's served to you. And that's for a reason. Because if you're new to flat Earth, and it's like, let me look into flat Earth, and you go to the Flat Earth Society, it mixes a tiny bit of truth in with a bunch of utter nonsense, to the point where you'll look at that and go, oh, this is ridiculous. And then you won't look at it again for years, because it's just nonsensical. That's called controlled opposition. You lead people down a fake hallway and there's nothing there, and then they give up and they stop looking. I would never, yeah, I don't even know what's on that website, because I would never go there anymore. It is not who we are. And the thing is, the people that fight against flat Earth, there's two things, one of them more ridiculous than the next. The first thing is, they're fighting against flat Earth, and they have no idea what our model is. Every single thing that they think we think is not what we think. Only globe believers believe that flat earthers believe that nonsense that they have in their head. Worse than that, not only do they not know the flat Earth model, they don't know the globe model. They don't know how fast they're spinning. Do you know how fast you're spinning? How fast they're? Let's do the
Isn't it
little helio nonsensical test.
10,000 miles an hour or something? I think.
How fast is your spinning?
Is it 1,000 or it's 1,000
Very
miles
good.
an
Very.
hour?
So
Yeah,
you've been doing
that's
a
it.
little research. How fast is it orbiting the sun
Is it,
while spinning?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
66,000 miles per hour. That's Mach 88. Okay. How fast is it chasing the sun while spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, orbiting at 1,000 miles an hour? How fast is it chasing the sun?
Like I'm not very good at this kind of stuff.
A half a million miles an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
500,000 miles an hour. So it's corkscrewing, spinning, orbiting, and chasing the sun, while the entire galaxy is going 2.2 million miles an hour in a fourth direction. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see how nonsensical and ridiculous all of that is?
Yeah, I can't sort of get into like the science side of things because I'm just sort of like a layman in that regard. So, but
And so is everybody.
Yeah.
Because you're not a scientist, because you don't have a degree, you don't feel that you're able to actually think about these things that you're told to believe, and you just believe them.
But wouldn't like gravity play some kind of role in why we
Gravity
have...
is a theory, an unproven theory, and you need like 90 something percent of it to be dark matter, which has never been seen, observed, or measured, to make it work, and it doesn't work. I mean, why? You know that why the moon orbits the Earth? Because it's falling towards the Earth because of the Earth's gravity, but it's falling at the exact rate of the curve of the Earth, so it keeps missing the Earth. This is a
Yeah.
belief that you have. But meanwhile, the Earth is falling around the sun, because the sun has it in its gravity, and it's falling around the sun, making an elliptical orbit. But meanwhile, the sun doesn't rip the moon away. The moon is locked to the Earth, spinning perfectly, so only to show us one side of the moon, while the sun is holding the Earth, falling around it, shooting through the space, spinning. I mean, it's embarrassing to even think about what people believe, but they don't even understand that's what they believe. And guess what? More nonsensical from there. It's utter ridiculousness, and they make it so confusing that people short circuit and go, "Oh, I'm just not qualified to comment on that. I'll just believe it." Okay,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
So has there been like I'm just curious, like has there been like any scientists that have moved over from the globe side to the flat side, so to speak?
Yes, there
Yeah.
are, and but here's the problem: the scientists that have their careers based in science, if they come over to the side, they lose their funding, they lose their livelihood, they lose everything. There are many, many, many professional people. There's military people, there's pilots, there's scientists that are keeping quiet. They're in the backgrounds. They're waiting for their opportunity to bring this forward when we hit critical mass. Because if they come forward now, they just get shunned.
Yeah.
They lose their careers. They lose their pension. They lose everything they have. And guess what? Money rules the earth because people worship money. And that's another problem.
So, in regards to like people who don't want to come forwards and such about their belief in the flat Earth, like I noticed you sort of gained like quite a lot of prominence in like professional wrestling scenes and like wrestling podcasts in particular. Like I know that you had I think you had like Stevie Richards on your show if I remember correctly. And like as I mentioned earlier, you were on Chris Jericho and Conan shows and such. Like, has there been like any wrestlers that have come forward to you and said like they believe in the flat Earth? Like I know the only one that I know as who said it sort of publicly was Juventud Guerrero. He's I know he's going around calling himself Flat Earth.
You know, Vince McMahon knows the Earth is flat. He makes comments. If you watch Russian vids, he breaks down the stuff Vince McMahon says. Wrestling is it. It actually, I'm not a wrestling fan.
Oh really?
I not at all. Okay.
How
But
did you get
Jeranism
onto
is a wrestling fan. Not that that helps our movement in any way,
right,
shape,
okay.
or form. My co-host, my older co-host, Curious Jay, is a wrestling fan. So that does not help the flat Earth movement in any way. I'm just saying that.
I'd actually argue that it does because like professional wrestlers, like if you're sort of knowledgeable on the subject, like a lot of professional wrestlers, like they use the phrase everything is a work, as in, you know, like everything that you're told is a lie basically. And I suppose that would tie in with like the beliefs
Right.
of the flat earth.
Wrestling is more real than the heliocentric nonsensical model. Okay?
Yeah, I suppose
It's
that's
more it's definitely more real than the helio nonsensical model.
yeah. So did you know actually that like Disco Inferno, who you spoke to on the Conan podcast, he sort of he has this like disco list that he calls it, which is a like a list of people that he I suppose berates every week, and that you're actually part of it every week. I didn't know if you were aware of that or not.
What? Say that again.
So, so Disco Inferno from the Conan podcast, he like includes you on his disco list, which is I suppose a list of people that he disrespects every week. Is like
He disrespects.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, good for him. You know what? Here's the problem. There's people that just can't see it, and guess what? That's their problem, not my problem. They're on my talk about, you don't like to ban anybody on my Facebook page. I can only do so much to help people.
yeah,
So I'll go in there and I'll read two words of a comment, and if I don't understand it, or it's somebody that is just negatively commenting something to be a fact that is not only do I delete the comment, I ban them for life. That's the thing. One half-witted comment and you're banned for life. A
yeah,
meme,
yeah.
you're banned for life,
Yeah,
right? Because
I
I
understand that because like there's sort of something about like you like the whole deplatforming culture coming from Silicon Valley at the moment is like sort of ruining social media and the internet in many ways, but also there's also the argument where like you don't when you invite people into your own house you expect them to act a certain way. So I suppose I can like understand where you're coming from in that regard for sure.
Yeah. So, and again, there's people that probably are just being sarcastic and are on the flatter side that get lost in the friendly fire. So there's nothing I can do about it. If it happens, it happens. But I don't have time to wake up people that are gonna that don't
Yeah.
want to learn. And there's a lot of people that don't want to learn. They're not ready. It's just like the documentary with Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, where Morpheus is telling Keanu or what's his name,
Neo.
Neo, that there's some people that aren't ready to wake up. They'll hold on to the system,
Yeah.
and that is an absolute analogy of where we are. There's people that are not ready to wake up. I call them Mr. Smiths. There's Mr. Smiths everywhere, and there's no helping them.
Well,
You just have to walk away from them.
in that same Matrix context, like who do you think the Grand Architect would be? Like if you were going to be like the Neo, I suppose, like who, and you came up against the architect of the heliocentric model, like what do you think would happen in these moments?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I know that we don't live on a spinning ball.
Yeah.
I know that the Earth is flat and stationary, and there's tons of proofs, actual proofs. I was going to say earlier, I like to take things and make three baskets. One basket is this works on a flat Earth. Okay. The other basket is this works on a flat Earth and on a ball Earth, like circumnavigation. East and west works on a flat Earth and a ball Earth. So that goes into that basket. And the third basket is this only works on a ball Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
And guess what? Nothing ever falls into that third basket. Okay. And after a while, when those two baskets are getting filled up and overflowing, and there's not a single thing that works on that fits into the only works on a ball Earth, you have to start wondering, how much evidence do I need to realize that we don't live on a ball?
Yeah, I suppose like the most interesting thing about it to me personally, like beyond like the scientific arguments and such, like what's interesting to me is just sort of like this idea that like you can like completely alter the course of your imagination in a sense to change direction. It's sort of what we touched on a little bit earlier, but in that sense I think it's like if you've listened this far into the podcast, like hopefully you've listened with sort of like an open mind and you can like go away and like do your own research and stuff on these things. Because like I'd imagine like you'd agree with me, like you wouldn't want anyone just to listen to what you've said and like take it away as gospel. Like you want people to sort of go away and do their own research in that sense. And that's sort of like the problem. Like people just sort of like listen to other people, hear what they say and take it as the truth without doing their own research and like finding out the actual information about things. But yeah, I suppose that's sort of like a decent place to close off this episode of Canvas. So before we sign out, is there like anything else you wanted to say, or did you want to plug anything in particular? Like I know you've got your podcast and such.
I just want to say just one other proof. A lot of people get stuck on the sunset and you look across a body of water and see half of a building and they think that's curvature. There's been enough video out there showing on how things get compressed, how small little waves and the densest part of the atmosphere, which is sitting right on top of the water, will block, obfuscate your view. But again, this isn't a 5-minute thing. You have to sit down and really study this on how it works. You have the earth plane and the sky plane that are going into the distance, meeting at eye level. The problem is the earth plane is opaque and the sky is transparent, and you could see through the sky. Things in the sky can go much farther beyond that point of convergence. We have tons of video showing this, how things begin to float in the air, how they disappear behind mirage. But again, this is one that takes time to understand and realize that things are not dropping behind a curve. There is no curve. It's never, ever been measured. It's never, the only photographs we have of curve are from fisheye lenses. We've sent balloons up 120,000 feet with regular lenses, flat, perfectly flat for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's flat.
Yeah, there's actually like videos on YouTube you can watch of fighter jet planes and such where they fly up like as high as possible, and there's still like no curvature to be seen.
Right. Well, a lot of times, they show the jet plane, but they're looking through a curved glass,
Yeah, it's
and
like a fisheye lens, so it sort of
yeah, well,
creates
not
the
even that.
illusion
Just
of.
a curved window will show you a
Yeah.
curve. Your eyes are curved. It's really difficult to see something perfectly straight.
Yeah,
Um,
there's like this. That's another weird thing. Like, if you come into this from like an open-minded perspective, there's like really no footage like to be seen online at all. Of like like actual curvature on the Earth. There's like no photos or video of that at all, really.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's it. Unless you want to keep going. Just if you really want to, learn, you have to take the time to watch the videos. Listen to my podcast, the Flat Earth Podcast. If you go to on your smartphone, just pull up your podcast player, search it. It's right there. Subscribe. Start from the beginning. Guaranteed, if you listen to the first 6 or 7 episodes, you will know that you don't live on a spinning ball, and you'll head down the same road that myself, Karen B, many others have gone down, and there's no exits on this road because we're looking for one, but there isn't. The Earth is flat and stationary, observably and obviously.
yeah, so thank you very much for your time today as well, and for being so gracious to come on to this sort of small and up and coming podcast, and hopefully you can come back on again sometime in the future. Maybe we
Anytime,
can,
man. It was a pleasure talking to you.
yeah, maybe like it'd be good to get someone on who's probably a bit better on the science and such than I am, because I haven't got much of an idea about that. And maybe have some kind of like roundtable discussion or debate or whatever. But yeah, thanks a lot anyway, and I'm pretty much just gonna sign out about here. So thanks
All
for
right.
everyone who's. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, and you heard me on Chris Jericho's podcast on my YouTube channel. I took our podcast episode and I set it to images and videos. So the stuff I'm talking about, I'm actually showing it. So if you search DITRH Chris Jericho or Talk is Jericho, and it's the one that says with videos and images. Watch that. Anyone listening to this, and you'll understand why this has become such an interesting topic, and it'll help you take the next step to get away from the helio-nonsensical system.
Yeah, definitely. Like that, I'd recommend listening to that as well. If you want to listen to more about the flat Earth debate and discussion, the your interview with Chris Jericho is probably like the perfect place to go into first before anything else, because it's sort of like comes at it as with like a amateur background, basically, if you don't know much about it.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks very much for coming on tonight, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Man, 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 thanks.
Thanks. Bye.